Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FTS podcast, Friends Talking Shop. I am Dave, coming to you from St. Louis, back from a week in Napa, California, which
Ooh,
I may discuss.
fancy.
This
On
is
an airplane.
Yeah. This is a podcast where we come up with three topics that we did not discuss ahead of time, and we discuss, meander as we on the topic sometimes, usually come up to a very good decision by the end. Today, I'm once again joined by two hosts, two people that really need no introduction. But first, I'll introduce Josh. Josh, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for the introduction, even though I didn't need it.
All right. Well, this is part of the podcast, and and our third host, who needs really no introduction. In fact, why don't we just skip the introduction for him?
I agree. It's not necessary.
We'll introduce him since he spent so much time getting his mic set up, which people don't realize is a weekly chore. It is Omar. Omar, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm in Puerto Rico. There's something that I think we should address with our audience. We've had some people ask us why we're not on Apple. We're only on Spotify. We have a problem with Apple's labor policies, and we are fans of, and we are also fans of Joe Rogan and free speech. Thank you.
And until they fix their labor issues, or until they let us on, that's when we'll get on Apple.
Whichever comes first.
If they advertise, we're all in.
Yes,
they'll sponsor us
because that will supersede the labor issues.
That's right. Right. I will only go so far with my morals.
And can't people reach us now, Dave? Can't people?
Yes, they can. I was just about to say that, Josh. Thanks for that intro. We now, instead of saying at the end, I'll give it at the beginning. We have an email address. It is friends@fts.media. That's friends, the @ symbol, which FTS.media, which I was thinking about last week, Josh. You made me specify.
I did.
Can you imagine putting the word @ in your email address?
Well, I would imagine our audience is half really stupid and half very, very intelligent. So I did that for the one half. I'll let you decide which half.
Okay. I think the term is Luddites.
Luddites.
That could be.
That's a good term.
That's true. That reminds me. I introduced my father to play Wordle. Do you guys play Wordle?
Oh yeah, every day. My whole family plays Wordle.
I taught my father. He's 82. He does great at it. He's so good, except when he would share his results. Do you share your results?
Yes,
that's like
we
part
share
of the
our
fun,
results. Right? Yes. Well,
somehow
we share with just the four of us. We don't put it out on like.
Who's the best in your
Facebook.
family, Josh?
I don't know. We go back and forth.
Really?
It's a big mix.
I think that's the fun of it. Except my father, when he would share his results, kept sending me the link to the website Wordle. So I finally got that fixed. But it was funny every day. It was my results, my sister's results.
It is funny. Have you guys done anything? About a year ago, I did Josh, Dave, you may remember this. I sent an IQ test to a bunch of our friends. And because I haven't done anything like that, we've literally ranked yourself against, people and something intellectually.
Yeah.
It's, because you don't want to make somebody else feel bad. I, of course, have no problem with that.
Right.
But,
of course.
That's the problem with Wordle, because you might feel I'd be intimidated, for example, to be in either one of your groups.
Ooh, I appreciate that. I think
I would score. I'm not good at Scrabble. For example, I'm not good at Scrabble.
But it's different than Scrabble.
Scrabble is not using real words. I've learned.
I'm not good at bingo.
Well, it's not that. It's not that Scrabble's not using real words. It's Wordle is, sometimes you could see an obvious word and it's just not that word. It's a different word with one letter different. And if you score 4 versus 5 or 5 versus 6, not a big deal.
But Josh, I know you're good at words with friends.
I am.
And I've seen you do a word that no one would ever use, but you use it because you want to line up or block someone from getting certain block. And that I don't like those. I will put down like paddle boat, and they'll be like, sucker, and then I'll put down something that's like ZUL and get triple the points. I think that's not right.
Well, that there is that, and it's it's different than Scrabble in that you can keep trying different things. But I'm going to tell if anyone's listening that loves Word with Friends, and I've been playing for incredibly long time, multi years. The key that most people do wrong is they just look for the highest scoring word. And Words with Friends, and you heard it here first, is about defense. Defense wins championships.
Even in Words with Friends.
Even in Words with Friends.
Very nice. Well,
Anyway,
thank you.
Anyway.
Thank you. All right. Well, that was our preamble. I gave our email address. We've introduced ourselves.
Check.
Omar's sound is working. I think we're ready to start. Ready to start?
Yeah,
Let's
I had a topic, but I'm going to change
more.
it now because of this conversation we just had.
You're changing your topic on the fly right now because of this nonsense that we talked about before we get in.
Yes, which I think we lost half of our listeners, but yes.
Yeah. Oh,
are those the half that would spell AT or put the @ sign?
Yeah, it's like guys talking about fantasy football.
Yeah.
Let me quickly, though, give you an update for those who are out there listening, who's downloaded. There's 88 of you. I think at least 10 of them might be from ourselves, and but I have a distribution on a map to see where in the world we're being downloaded. And
where we
of course,
get hits.
East Coast, we've got quite a few in LA, Chicago, St. Louis. Go figure. I did tell you we have one in London.
Ooh, whoa, that's a new one.
Yep, one in Brussels. I think I mentioned to you.
Yes,
one
Brussels,
in Uganda.
that's big. We're big in Uganda. Big in Uganda.
And get this, one in Moscow.
Ooh, hopefully one of the good guys.
So I'm wondering if that's a bot. Like they download every, one and they're going to come after us, or if someone legitimately found like this world, I just need friends talking shop and found us, so that there's someone in Moscow.
It could be KGB who's trying to get some insight on U.S.
Maybe
plans.
That's
strategy.
Why. That's why their war is stalling for them.
That might be why they came back and reported like, "Good news, Putin. They're idiots."
Yeah. That's right. So we'll keep watching that, but I think that's a good first start. I think word of mouth is based on our only marketing strategy.
I love it.
All right.
We also encourage phone calls from any of our listeners.
It'd be hard because we don't have a phone number. That'd be very difficult.
Yeah, just call.
Yeah.
Just shout. Just shout to the universe and we'll hear you.
Yeah.
Trust me, will happen. So, all
I
right,
think
are we ready for our first topic?
We'll have callers in, so that'll be fun. Yeah, let's go to our first topic.
Let's do it.
We will actually at the very end. I do have someone asked a question of us, and I thought it would be good for the end.
Our first email. First email.
So I have a tease for the end. So for my topic, I want to give you an update on my trip to Napa, including
why don't you
my
go first,
virtual reality.
Because I don't ever go first. You go first.
I host.
That's true. You hold the keys. You hold the keys.
So first, I want to give you an update of my virtual reality experience on an airplane.
Yes.
All right. So so first when I got to the St. Louis airport, it looked like the weather was going to be fine. So I was.
And you might want to remind people, Dave, that you have a fear of flying and that you're trying this new thing.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Remember. Yeah. This is, as I said before, this isn't really episodic. It's one long story that we're telling.
But you never know. You never know. Maybe the Ugandans started episode 9 and we'll be right back. I don't know their culture.
All right. So I have a fear of flying, and I had to fly to California, which is a 4-hour flight. And I took many steps to try to. My usual steps is to stop at the bar and the usual, but I got a face mask. I got augmented reality glasses to wear to try that. I got VR goggles, which I did come just in time, and I thought I would try many different things. Well, just to give you an update on that, the VR did not work because
Wi-Fi.
No, I thought you downloaded. The movie.
I downloaded my phone. I used the VR one where you put your phone in.
Yeah.
And I cannot find a technology that will just let me take my downloaded Netflix show and display it in the VR display.
So,
well, that's because you have the wrong VR headset. You have to have the one that like Oculus Rift.
No.
But that one you can't download. Something.
But that you can't download. There's certain there's YouTube VR. Right. But all Netflix shows are not VR. They don't have an immersive video. So you need to download an immersive video.
You can you can download things. You just can't download Netflix. You can download other things.
Download Netflix. Now we're getting into the weeds here, but you can download Netflix. He needs to download a VR movie. A movie in VR,
that I can watch in that format. So
yeah,
that's what I mean.
In that format. That's what I mean.
Okay, gotcha. I gotcha.
I thought that there could be like an app that will take something you've already downloaded and just display it differently.
So what happened when you realized this? Were you already in the air? Were you still on ground?
I was on the ground.
Did you order a
and
drink?
I was on the ground. I was at home, and as I was playing around with it, my wife was like, "Please do not wear this on the airplane." She did take pictures of me at home with it.
Oh, I need
and
to see that.
showed me.
Oh, at home. I want to see it in an airplane seat.
Yeah, through thick and through thin, except for VR headsets.
Yeah. Well, then I went to the AR goggles, and I tried that, and that was better, but it wasn't. I still could tell I was on a plane. If it got bumpy, it still affected. So I did use the face mask with listening to a podcast, and that worked for the most part until we got about an hour away from California, and I took it off, and it was like, how much longer? And they said an hour. That's great. And then we hit a thunderstorm or something. Oh, good Lord, it was bumpy. I was like, all I thought about the full trip was the flight back. It's so terrible, But
so we got nothing from this. You had a great idea, and there was nothing.
It's the beginning of an idea. That's
exactly what it is, Dave. Exactly what it is.
We're sending this out there. Someone has to make these for me, and I'm telling you, I would pay $2,000 for them.
But Dave, you just need to find a site by which you can download an immersive video. That has to exist.
I'm telling you, they have it in porn, for example. Not that I've ever downloaded.
I'm not sure you want to be watching that on the plane.
That's probably right.
Yeah, like, what are you watching? Nothing. Have you fallen asleep?
1,000% can download this.
Stop bothering me. The pizza man's about to enter. I want to see what happens.
The plumber is just about done. Yeah.
And she doesn't have any payment for him.
Well, what does that mean? I have no idea. Is that a story in pornography?
I have no idea. I heard Omar say it once.
So my topic, though, that was just a quick update that it was kind of a fail, and but I'm still see myself as a pioneer, and I'm going to keep.
This was in no means a fail. This is a huge breakthrough.
No, it's a breakthrough, but the implementation was a fail. The implementation was a fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll fail your way to success. That's kind of how I run my business, right?
Yes, that's smart.
Then I feel much better about myself. Yeah. But so a couple of things happened on my trip, though, that I wanted to bring up with you guys. I thought I came up with something that people probably mostly will disagree with, but I 100% believe is true.
I like that.
So number one is one of the things we went was to a wine tour and tasting. And we met with a very nice gentleman who sat us down and told us about all the ins and outs of their farm and their wine, and it was everything. And then we sat down for the tasting, and he did one of these things where.
How'd you get there? Like in a limo, or were you like in your rental car?
In a rental car.
Rental car.
Yeah.
Can you really do a wine taster tour when you have to drive from place to place?
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, yeah. Let's not get into that. I was. Let's just assume I was 100% safe.
Okay. And then you had a butler walking around with an umbrella.
Yeah.
So yes, right. Of course.
We so we got to the wine tasting, and he would drink it. He would let it sit there. He would do this. He'd do like kind of like
Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter does.
Yes.
Exactly. And they'd spit it out, and then, but he would proceed to tell us. He would say, "I taste some blackberry, some plum." Well, if he did this mostly by smelling. He'd say, I can maybe some I could iron that's in the volcanic ash. I could apple, maybe some chocolate. My wife goes, how about grapefruit? He goes, no, not grapefruit. Like he said everything under the sun, and my wife said one thing. He said maybe stone. He said stone fruit. Maybe stone fruit. I was
what the hell is stone fruit? What the hell is stone fruit? That's made up. He made it up.
So this guy, I mean, he loved his wine. I thought I could tell it was a Pinot versus a Cab, and that there's no chocolate. There's no chocolate in wine. Don't give me. As soon as
You're
you tell
making me
chocolate,
thirsty right now.
Yeah. No, it's making me nauseous. This is like I'm not a wine drinker, but this is so pretentious. Could you imagine taking a sip of Pepsi and going, yeah, I'm tasting chemical number 7, maybe a hint of chemical number 7, some nitrous oxide. I get some oxide in there, some nice acidic flavor on this cherry cola.
I will say, it's so true. With like whether it's whether it's joints or oils for cannabis or what you're talking about. right now, Dave. I hired a creative firm to do a website for me, and they offered me 2 options. And as they walked through each option, they brought up words to describe the feeling and the texture and the emotion. I'm like, do they believe the words that are coming out of their mouth?
No.
Or is that just to help justify why I'm paying them so much?
Correct.
It's the same thing I think with wines. Either they're good or they're bad. I can't even tell between a Pinot and a Cabernet if someone put a gun to my head. I could barely tell between a red and a white, but I know what I like.
That's right. It's either, hey, and it's the same thing with paintings. When people look at paintings and like, oh, the brush strokes and and I can feel the pain they had when they made it. Like, this is the only things that should come out of your mouth. Hey, this is good. Or, nah, I don't like this one.
God, we are such Neanderthals.
Yeah.
The 3 of us. Like, it's like when you hear like friends who are musicians, we both know a few, all of us do, when they talk about music. Same thing.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah.
You're going along my.
I thought you said magicians. I'm like, what?
I did too. I thought you said magicians.
Musicians, yes.
Yeah.
Like I have these 2 friends, and these guys, they're great guys. I love them to death. But every time we get together and they play music, like we go to a weekend retreat or whatever, like, hey, listen to this one. This is by the blah, blah, blahs. And like, it's a band no one's ever heard of. And it has to be. And they love the music of a band no one's ever heard of. And then when they become famous and they get on the radio, they hate them. They immediately hate them. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So stupid. Anyway, they're great guys.
So you're tracking me so far because you're gonna love where I land with this because I think you're gonna agree with this. So we walk away and most of the wine people are like, yeah, I like it, but I cannot taste chocolate, and I know there's no chocolate in that wine.
Yeah.
So then one of the days we decided to kind of hang out and I watched a movie, and I like going through all the Oscar nominated movies for the year, right? One is called Drive My Car. Have you heard of this?
Never heard of it.
Foreign film out of Japan, 3 hours long.
Oh, subtitles?
Subtitles, of course. I didn't dub it. I did subtitles. And my wife was to bed early, so I thought, if I'm going to get through this movie, now is a good time to do it. It is a slow moving plot. I mean, it is this thing could be told in a Wikipedia summary in like 2 paragraphs. It is, but they drag this thing way out. I didn't understand it. I watched the whole thing. I listened to a podcast about it, and
how
they
many
talked
hours
about
was this? The movie was 3 hours.
3
hours.
hours.
How long was the podcast?
An hour. While we were driving, because I wanted to know how did it get nominated for? And they went on about how wonderful it was. The pacing was beautiful. The scenery, the acting, on and on and on. I was like, are you kidding me? Here's my theory. This guy with wine, these guys with the podcast, the reason that they are the way they are is they haven't discovered video games yet. If they had discovered video games, they would put all this nonsense aside.
What a turn there. I did not expect that to come out of your mouth.
I think, or conversely, because I've discovered video games, which I know is immediately cool and satisfying, I no longer need to try to smell chocolate in my wine. Just give me the controller. I'm very happy. So I feel like these are people I want to just say to them, have you tried playing anything on Nintendo or Nintendo, PlayStation? And I feel like their lives are just so wrapped up in these things. Like, go find something that's much better to do. So that's my theory.
Oh, boy, that theory is out of left field. I don't even know where to start with that.
I think the bigger question is, which version is happier? The video game playing, guy or girl, or the what's it called? The wine enthusiast? Onophile. Onophile. It's onophile, right?
Is that right? I don't know. I have no idea.
It's wine. It's wino. I think it is onophile actually.
But
who's a happier person, right?
I'm not going to try to agree with that because that may be really wrong.
Can I sum this up?
Please.
People in their professions like to feel important, and they like to tell everyone of how important their job is. And look, here's the reality. When you're a wine taster, the importance is, and again, I'm going to disparage another group of people as I do periodically on this podcast. It's fine to have a profession that's really not that important. It's just like an entertainment thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't make it like something that it's not. And so you have to have a complexity to your job so no one else can do it. You're tasting wine. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
You're tasting a liquid. You either like the liquid or you don't. It either has good flavor or it doesn't. To add all these layers is just phony self-importance.
But don't you think that's? I mean, I have to say, Josh, I'm a little shocked by.
Are you?
I'm a little shocked by the crassness of your thoughts on this, because ultimately, we want to have experts in fields, right? Just like you are an expert in what you do. So, or I am in certain ways in what I do, and people who are outside of the industries that we work in might look at our decisions as very simplistic and can be answered in a sentence, right? And
Fair.
but no one. I mean, if we're paying to see a wine expert or even to hire a creative firm, I think there are things that they're able to communicate that we might not be able to explicitly, consciously be thinking of, but we subconsciously either taste or are aware of when we're watching it.
Look, if you are
we need experts.
If you run a vineyard and you're making wine, that is complex. There's complexity there. When you're tasting a wine and giving your opinion on it, I just think it's a reach. It's just a reach, and you're just trying to make something complex that's something simple you're trying to make something simple complex, and it's not.
You guys are the hecklers in like a comedian show.
Yeah.
You guys are sitting there with your arms crossed when the comedian comes on stage.
No,
like the guy sitting on a stoop, and people walking by.
Yeah, that's what we are. That's better. That's better. But I don't even know where to go with your video game. I mean, let's bring it back.
So my point is that these people are trying to take their hobbies and stretch them out, because what are they filling their time with in their lives? Like they've got to
Good point. It's a good point.
This is a cab. We've got another 50 minutes. What do you want to do? I don't know. That's never a problem for me. And I think you guys say, like, when we have downtime, it's time to play games or do something fun.
Yeah.
So I think it's a matter of, just with all the time in your hands that's unfortunately not being filled with video games, that you are filling it with nonsense. And
do you know what it's like, Dave? I'll give you an analogy, because I think you're right. It's the same, and I was going to do this as a podcast topic later on, but it's whatever. We can hash it out now. It's the same as people who tell me, I'm like, well, what are you watching these days, shows wise? And they go, oh, I don't have a TV.
Yeah, I don't watch TV.
Come on.
Yeah.
Such bullshit. Number one, you have a TV. And inevitably, whenever you start talking to these people, like, oh, I don't watch TV. I read, or I exercise, or I go for walks, or I do this. Inevitably, they're like, oh, yeah, I love Breaking Bad. If you start talking, you're like, oh, yeah, you have a TV.
Ozarks, yeah.
Yeah, I love Ozark, right. But that's the only thing I watch. Or watch the news. That's such bullshit. It's such pretentiousness.
I would say someone who said to me, like, oh, I don't have a TV or I don't watch TV, I think, are you Indiana Jones? Like, are you like searching for treasure?
Yes.
Or something? Because how in the world is your life able to, like, between 4 and 6 on a random Wednesday is like, man, I've got some other stuff I got to do.
Well, 4 and 6. Are you stopping work early?
Wait, was Indiana Jones were any of his movies during the time when there were TVs?
No, but I know what he's saying. He's not saying it that you are Indiana Jones.
I understand.
Yeah. I could see Indiana Jones saying, like, what's your favorite shows, Indy? Well, I'm constantly being chased by Nazis. I don't have really time to get into a series.
I don't have time. I need to get a golden monkey from the cave.
Right.
Yeah.
Other than that,
I'll binge watch it later.
Yeah. Even if you were a superhero, I think you've got downtime. And you got to be watching TV or playing video games. So
superheroes got to protect a lot of people, and there's a lot of crime going on at once. So I'm gonna take the opposite side on superhero. Unless you're Aquaman. Aquaman's got time to watch TV.
Yeah, well, and the TV, it would be challenging it to work underwater, I suppose. You'd have to figure out some technology.
Well, he can be on land, but his powers suck on land. So that's what I'm saying. When he visits land, he doesn't have any power, so he can't really fight crime. So you might as well start watching some show on Netflix.
So you don't see my sort of transition that these are people whose lives I would say would benefit from saying, you know what, let's drop the chocolate, the stone fruit. Let's recognize long boring movies for what they are.
Yes.
And let's go do something fun.
You're right, but they're not going to let themselves go there because they are above it.
Yeah.
They look down upon that.
I know. Isn't
Yeah.
that sad? And there are
It is
people probably on
sad.
this podcast that
I
Just
probably
enjoy whatever.
Yeah, I think you guys are
Enjoy
both
what
crazy.
you enjoy.
We want that texture in society. I mean,
I'm not saying we don't, but I'm just
who
saying.
would you rather
like,
hang out with? Someone who played video games all day, or someone who was
Yes.
an onophile?
Yeah, that's obvious.
I'm not going to answer that question because I'm not sure that's the right word.
That is the word. I haven't even looked it up. I know it's the word. Onophile.
Look, I don't.
I know that I would rather spend the day with a video game than a wine and food.
Yes, that's not even a question. It's
Yeah.
not even a question.
In fact,
Please.
I've done that recently, and I
Because
know the answer.
Most onophiles are also very big foodies, obviously, and I'd rather
Yeah.
be with foodie.
Well, food
Food
gives
is
you a little
different.
bit more.
But they're
Yeah.
closely correlated in terms of their people who play video games eat, Pringles all day.
But if a foodie could say, I could taste the chocolate, and I'd be like, yes, because we're eating chocolate. If someone ate a Rice
Yeah,
Krispie,
right.
it's kind of like
right.
what Josh said. I could taste the
Who's doing that?
the ocean air on these marshmallows. Like no, you can't. No, you
Yeah.
can't.
I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. It's look, they might have a better palate.
I
than
cannot
me,
wait
and
for
I,
our
and
next.
I admit that freely. I don't have a good palate, and I couldn't pick out. What
When are we next having dinner together, guys? I cannot wait. I'm gonna
But
look
I
up a
love
bunch
good
of words.
Dinner. I love a good.
Oh,
dinner.
and wine, and wine.
Well, Josh doesn't like wine.
I hate wine. I would like to. By the way, I would like to like wine. I really would. I'd like to be an adult with the rest of the adults. But I've never had a wine I like, and I don't know why that is. But I want to like wine. It's very frustrating for me that I don't drink wine.
Yeah.
So I'm not against wine. I'm not against it.
There are times when it's like, this is the right thing to have rather than just always beer or
Well,
other kind
I feel like an idiot when they go around and you're at a table and we should get a couple bottles of wine. And I'm like, well, I'll have a Yoo-hoo, please. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't keep up. I can't do it.
Yeah. Or order. If you're stuck ordering wine. I like your method though, Josh.
Which is?
You look at the menu, you stare at it intently, and then you'll say, I'll have the second least expensive wine, please.
Correct. That's right. The wine
That's
list.
a great way.
Yes. I'll have your second least expensive wine, please.
Very good. Well, that's
actually very, very smart, Josh.
Thank you.
Did you guys know about lobster? About the whole history of lobster prices?
Yes.
Like, there is a ton of lobster.
Dave is a
supply up there.
crustacean.
Yeah, I did mention.
What's the word?
I am an
Crustadophile?
No.
I think I know. It's lobster and video.
Dave is actually Aquaman. No,
Yes, Dave.
no. I was gonna say this is that there's a more supply of lobsters today than there's ever been, and because of that, you would expect lobster prices to drop.
To go down. Yeah.
They have not.
Yeah.
You want to know why they have not? They have not dropped prices.
They control the flow.
Well, what are you, Oliver Stone? I don't know what that means. But
they control the supply, just like the diamond industry.
The reason
controls the supply.
The reason is because it is cheaper to the restaurants. The reason is because it's much more difficult to raise prices than it is to lower them. So if they lower the price of lobster and let's say demand
to bring it back up,
raise prices is very difficult. That's number one. The other reason is that lobster is regarded as the luxury item in restaurants.
Yes.
And so they can price that at a premium. So because studies show that most people who do order nicer things tend to order the second most expensive thing on the menu rather than the first.
Oh, there. I was wondering where you're going with this.
It's a placeholder to pull up number two price a little bit. Bingo.
Got it. Yeah.
Oh, so that is that's a tangent we didn't need to go down, but that's nonetheless.
That's a lobster.
We learned something
video
today
games
on
in your
lobster
life, Omar.
prices. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go next? Who's next topic?
Well, you're the host, Dave.
Why do I always have to choose? Well, then I'll just keep doing our order then. Omar, do you want to go second?
Oh, damn it.
Okay, I'll go second.
So do you have a topic?
Too late.
I do.
Yeah,
but I have to say this lobster thing got me on another thread. So I'm gonna go with that.
All right.
What?
So yeah, because I had
These
my
never
birthday
end well.
dinner.
Never
I had
end
my
well,
birthday
these threads.
dinner with my family this past weekend in Baltimore.
Right.
And it was very sweet. And my father put on a suit, and everyone got dressed up, including me.
How many suits does he own?
Yeah.
Oh, he owns about 50 suits. Yeah. He owns a lot of
With
suits.
the ties.
Yeah.
The tie's already in the shirts.
The tie's already in the shirts. Yeah, it is. And the dinner started, and the waiter came over, and I was immediately put in a bad mood. And it's for two reasons, and I'm curious how you guys would handle this.
Okay.
Happens in a restaurant. So number one, the waiter was a very, very loud talker, unnecessarily loud.
Was it a noisy restaurant?
No, it was very
interesting.
early.
Interesting.
It was a 5:30 reservation.
Oh, geez, that's unusual for you.
So it was very
A loud talker. Like
very
just
loud.
Hello, like just came in screaming, huh?
Yeah, but it didn't drop. It was always loud.
Wow.
Number one. Number two, the restaurant had specials that were decent, were very long. And this is the kind of restaurant where the waiter, I could tell, was going to walk through each special, and he was doing it. And it's a long it was like probably, I don't know, 10 specials.
Okay.
Appetizers and entrees.
Yeah.
And I can see the menu, and I
Yeah.
know what I want, and I want to order for the table because whatever, at least for my parents. And it took at least 8 minutes. I was in pain. I'm like, is there a way to cut this off?
I have an answer.
Without coming across as an asshole.
This is so funny. Yes, there is.
Do you have a solution to this?
Yes, because I've done it, and Dave knows what I'm talking about. There is where our old office.
Oh my God, I'm on the edge of my seat right now.
Yes, there is a really nice steakhouse, and we would go there. And when it opened up, we would go there, and immediately they'd bring out a cart, and it very nicely wrapped in like a what do you call it, saran wrap, I guess, like a clear cellophane, was each cut of steak that they make. And there are maybe, I don't know, Dave, what is it, 6, 7, 8, maybe a lot of them. There's
Less
a lot
than 10,
of different
but
cuts.
Yeah, close. Yep.
And they would go through each one and be like, this is the porterhouse, and it's cut here on the cow, and this is how we do it. We marbleize it. We do this, blah, blah, blah. We cook it to this temperature. And it's like they go on, and they do that for each cut. And the first time I'm like, oh, my God, this is lasting forever. It lasted, I mean, it was no exaggeration, at least 10 minutes.
I'd be losing my mind. Oh, my God.
So, Omar, the next time we went,
right,
they wheeled out the cart, and I said to the waiter, do you remember this, Dave?
Yeah, I do.
I said, hey, no offense, but I'm going to save you and I some time. We don't need the story of the steaks.
Yeah, shut him down.
We're just ready to go. And I'll tell you what, he was appreciative because he probably tells that same damn story over and over, and he had to memorize it because that's part of his training. And it was just, I think, a huge relief for the table that we didn't have to sit through the story of the steaks, and the waiter.
So it was the same table as the last time.
What do you mean the same table? No.
Different person, different time.
Every time we go.
No. I mean who you were with.
Oh, different people. Yes.
Oh, okay. So they didn't. Yeah. So no one was like, "Oh, I want to hear the story of the steak."
No, the good news
probably
is
never
that,
entered Josh's
yeah,
mind.
that's never entered my mind. That's not the point. Yeah, I think maybe someone did want to hear the story of the steaks.
But was anyone important?
If you don't know what a New York strip is versus a fillet, come on. Right. I mean, it's like, all right. Like, I don't know. I can't tell you in detail what it is, but I can tell you I like one over the other.
By the way, on that thread, can we agree, please, just to put this matter to rest, that when you're at steakhouses and they have, what's the highest priced? Is it the tomahawk?
The porterhouse. Tomahawk? Oh, the tomahawk too. Tomahawk, yeah. Tomahawk.
What's the really? Is that the really or the filet, whatever the heck it is?
The tomahawk.
Chateaubriand, yeah, the tomahawk. That is the most expensive thing. That to me is the equivalent of bottle service in a club. Only the asshole orders, the bottle service, because the tomahawk steak, when you actually get the meat, I'd much rather have a fillet.
Of course.
Yeah. And it's like, and they have sparklers. They should basically bring you got the tomahawk. They actually bring sparklers when you order a tomahawk.
They should. It's a presentation thing. That's what the tomahawk is. It's a presentation thing. That's exactly right. It's a lot of fluff.
My answer, I had a much simpler answer. If someone wanted to go through a long presentation of what the food is that's going to be offered in the evening, I would get a piece of paper and I would write them down and I would call it a menu and I would give it to people and then they can read it for themselves.
This is a great idea.
I know. What do you think?
Yeah, but here's the issue with that, Dave, for the restaurant's sake. The restaurant, if they do that, then it's not special, quote unquote, special anymore. So the
how can you have 8 specials though?
It's ridiculous. You can't. It's insane. But
it's not special anymore.
The appeal is they get to size it up as far as the pricing is concerned, and it feels like it's something different that night that you're only getting that night. That's not a typical.
I wish that you could have that like in relationships, like we have like a new special, maybe, you know what I mean, like lover for just for a week.
What I normally am like, but today.
Unbelievable. Always comes back to that. But Omar, but the solution for you is easy. You just go, look, we know what we want, and the beauty of that is, it's a win-win. They don't have to sit there and regurgitate something that they've done 1,000 times every single night, and they appreciate that.
I agree with you, Josh. The challenge is who you're with, right? If I had done that in front of my family, they actually. They would have been like upset with me for irrespective of how I even brought it up. It's starting with no offense is a good start, but no offense, but I don't know. That's empathic enough.
Yeah, but here's the beauty of it. So I think it's a little different with specials. With specials, you want to hear you don't know what they are. And number one, you don't know what they are. Number two, you don't know how many there are. So once you go down that path, it becomes, it's a slippery slope. They can give you 10 specials. They can give you 3. You have no clue. And it could be something that you actually want. Story of steaks. It's the same story every single time.
Yeah.
I don't need the story of the steaks.
Yeah.
And they're all on the menu.
It's like a superhero origin story. They're all kind of the same.
All right.
But slightly different.
Not really, but okay.
So I will say he was very good at something else, which I think is a huge part of what makes a waiter or a waitress good at that job, which is when we were, in middle of conversations at the table, he would come up to the table, but not super close, but close enough that we knew he was there. And then he'd wait till we looked at him, and then he'd start talking rather than coming in and just interrupting a story.
Yeah.
A lot of waiters do that, and it's like, I'm like, wait, and it completely throws off the table. It's a very subtle thing, but he was very good at that. So I gave him a very, very good tip. So I felt better for treating him so poorly.
$500? Did you give him $500?
And I gave him, he was happy. The thing is, whenever I'm with my parents, the waiter always has to disguise giving me booze, right?
Oh.
So yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yes, I can't. I don't want to drink alcohol openly in front of my parents, just out of respect.
Are they against it?
They are. I mean, they know that I drink at this point, but I don't like to do it visibly in front of them. Maybe I act like I'm drunk, but they don't see that I don't have a glass of wine. It's like in a coffee mug.
So how do you let them know? Do you tell them as you're walking in, or?
No, but when they come visit me, no, I'm sorry. I pulled the waiter aside. I sort of slammed up against the wall. No, I'm kidding. And I said, hey, I'm sorry. Do you mind? My parents, I don't want to drink in front of my parents. Can you give me a glass of wine or white wine, but like in a water glass?
Oh, that's a great idea.
You do that. So when they go through the specials, they go through this, that, and then we have a great Shirley Temple, and they wink at you.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
That's how that all goes. There goes.
Yeah.
Tip goes
it's
up.
It's a giant wink.
Yeah.
Giant
brings
wink.
the whole thing together. Yeah. I don't know if you can. I'm starting to think more. I agree that when you hear about, we have Chilean sea bass, and then what follows after that is a good minute-long description of all the other things that are in it, when I'm already like, skip, like, let's go.
I agree with Josh, though. Josh, you are spot on. Like, I've been talking about this event thing I'm doing in a few months, and I've had to tell the story over and over again, probably like 20 times.
You don't want to keep doing it. You don't want to keep doing it.
I cannot stand saying it over and over again. It is exhausting.
Just think about having to say think about being a waiter and look, if you have 2 specials, it's not a big deal. But if you have 5 or 6 and you got to memorize them for that evening, and you have who knows how many tables you get in a typical waiter shift? I don't know, maybe 50 tables on the low end. You got to tell that story 50 times. I mean, it's exhausting.
No, that's really true.
Yeah, so you're saving them. It's actually a great thing.
How about you're saying, no disrespect, but can you give us a short version of the?
Yeah, but see, so remember the first time I did that, Dave? I'm bringing it back to this.
Well, that yours is different because it's the same story every single time.
But if you remember correctly, the waiter said, we're supposed to tell this story. It's required. I said, I get it, but we're the customer. I'm telling you, we're signing the waiver.
Dave, there's a flaw in this as well, which I alluded to earlier. Sometimes someone at the table does want to hear the specials.
Yeah.
Yes, well, that's different. But like this is, yes, you're right. And I always want to hear the specials, but I don't expect specials to go on for 10 minutes. You
Yeah.
never expect 8 specials. I expect 2 or 3 specials, and that's it. And I don't need the how you prepare it. I like to know what's on it, but I don't need all the specific, again, this is more of the self-importance of what you're doing to the hollandaise sauce that is not that important. You're either cooking it, heating it, cooling it, cutting it. That's it. There's no other things you can do.
What isn't the steak always?
I don't need the reduction or the white
Yeah.
wine reduction or it's too much. It's like when the pilot comes on and tells you, "Hey, I owe 30,000, and then I'm going to." I don't care. I don't care what elevation. Just get me to the place.
Have either one of you
how
two
you're doing it.
Have either one of you two Neanderthals just give me food, put food in mouth?
Yeah.
Have either of you two Neanderthals ever said, "Give my compliments to the chef"? Or I'd love to say thank you to the chef when you're in a restaurant.
I've said that many times where they come over and when you're done, I go, "This was outstanding."
I don't think that's his
this
question.
No, I don't say give my compliment. That is the same thing as give my compliments to the chef. What are they going to do? They're going to say, "Well, you didn't say to tell the chef, so I'm not going to tell him." He obviously, if he cares, he'll be like, "Hey, table 4 loved the salmon."
Yeah. I don't think I've ever done that. Said those words. Hey, tell the chef this was delicious.
No.
If they usually, how was your stuff? It was great. Like that's the extent. And then
yeah.
we leave,
Or if
we leave
there's
Applebee's.
Yeah. These boneless buffalo wings were amazing. I can't wait for the diarrhea in an hour.
That's right.
Are you guys comfortable eating in restaurants?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I didn't start eating in restaurants until I was like 20. I grew up like eating at home or at McDonald's. So I was.
What do you mean? Are you comfortable eating in restaurants? What is the kind of question is that?
When you go out
because of COVID? Because of COVID?
No. I mean, like, are you comfortable eating in restaurants?
Like the social norms.
Social aspect norms. Have you
very
always been
comfortable.
that way? You were never uncomfortable?
Yes.
Were either one of you ever waiters?
I was a busboy.
Were you good at it?
Well, define good.
Were you fired?
Yes.
No, I was not fired.
All right, then you're probably.
However, I would on occasion, I would order an errant sandwich that obviously was not picked up by anybody, and I'd be like, "Oh, if we're gonna throw it out, I'll."
That's a bad busboy.
Yeah. Wasn't often.
I think there are some social.
I've been a 120th, 100th, or whatever owner in a restaurant. So the restaurants allocate about 20 to 25% of that.
So waste,
employees.
Of course.
Is that right?
Yeah, of course. It's a cash business. Well, it used to be.
It's called the Josh factor.
It's the Josh factor. That's right. It's the busboy who wants his corned beef for free that day.
Well, I don't know if we solved much for you. I guess because
I think we did.
Right. The wild card is it depends on who you're with. I suppose if you talk to the people you're with. Because the time when you cut that guy off, I forget who we were with, but I think we were all like,
on a date you can't do it. You can't do it on a date.
No.
Well,
right.
no, again,
you want
that
sends
the
a bad
fanciness
signal.
of the date.
Yeah.
But look, you don't. We're going back to this. You have to know the restaurant ahead of time before you decide if you're going to cut it off. I know in this one restaurant we're getting the story of the steaks. Don't want it. If I go to a new place, I don't know. As soon as they start with the specials, you want to hear the specials. You don't know if it's 2 minutes or 8 minutes.
And the people you're with. And the people you're with. But if you're going back to a recurring restaurant and you know their routine, is more than okay to say.
You guys have basically the answer to this is that just continue to go back to my origins and eat at McDonald's.
Yes, go back.
Yes.
They don't ever have the specials are on the wall. I can see them clearly up.
I can see them. Yes. You don't need to tell me how the egg McMuffin is prepared.
Yes.
Of this podcast is going to be we need to stop what we are doing now and go back to what we were doing when we had less cares in the world, make
podcasts
that's
great
right.
again. Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
That's right.
Don't overcomplicate anything.
Well, Josh,
anyway,
we have enough time for your topic. Don't shorten it up.
No, thanks.
I remember last time we made you go. You went short, but
I had to go short.
There's no time limit on these things. People in Uganda has time, so go ahead and give us your topic.
So look. So I'm going to switch gears because we just talked about ingesting food and liquid. So we'll switch to something different. So the Olympics wrapped up, but what's still going on, which I bet a lot of people aren't watching, which is actually better than the Olympics, is the Paralympics, by the way. which is fantastic. And that's for another topic. And I love the Paralympics, and we can go into reasons why later. But with the Olympics in mind, here's my theory. Okay, and I don't know if I've shared this with you in the past. It's a theory I've had for years. But
hold on. With the Paralympics,
yeah, I love the Paralympics.
You like the competition, please. Say you like the competition.
100%. Like, if you watch sled hockey, have you ever seen sled hockey?
No.
It is amazing. They are people without their use of their lower extremities, and they're on these long, narrow sleds, and they sit on them, obviously, and they play hockey with 2 sticks. They have 2 sticks, and they need 2 sticks because they propel the sled with the sticks. It's like they look like ski poles. How you move when you're skiing. And what's crazy about there's checking, there's full checking. They're doing the puck underneath their sled. It's so cool, and it's awesome. It's awesome to watch. I think I like it better than regular Olympic hockey.
Okay.
Anyway, and a side note to that, this is what I just learned. I watched the gold medal game, and by the way, this is amazing too. It was USA versus Canada. So even with physically challenged people, it's the same countries in the sport. Isn't that weird? Or maybe not. Maybe it's not weird. I don't know.
Jamaica doesn't have a hockey team in the Paralympics. Yeah,
they do not. But I mean, wouldn't you expect it's USA and Canada in hockey, even if it's sled hockey? All right, well, whatever.
Which are the smallest countries do some countries only have like one representative?
Yes, this is part of my topic, Omar.
Okay.
So my dream to get into the Olympics was to get like dual citizenship at like Trinidad and Tobago, right? Or a country like that, and then play ping pong for them. Why not? They never have a ping pong person.
It'd be the best.
Why can't I play for Trinidad?
Is this? Are you needling? Are you needling me right now?
I'm not needling you.
Omar professes himself to be a very good ping pong player.
I went to the Junior Olympics.
I know.
For under
you
13.
Told me that.
Representing, by the way, coincidentally, Trinidad. No, I'm kidding. The U.S. The U.S.
But these are things that I don't know if I've ever seen proof of this. You say things, and then I wonder. You were in the Junior Olympics for ping pong.
Played in Canada, in Toronto.
Well, it's pretty cool.
From what you've told me of your earlier life, where you've not been comfortable going to restaurants and things, maybe it's more believable than I thought.
I think. Wait. I think there's a pretty high correlation between people who play ping pong and who are socially awkward.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I bet you. Yeah, without doing any scientific research, you might. Yeah,
if anything, it makes more sense.
That's true.
Well, you're making me think of the movie. Haven't you seen the movie about the guy from the UK? They had never had is it a long jumper?
Are you talking about Eddie the Eagle?
Eddie the Eagle,
yes, same thing.
You want to do an Eddie the Eagle then, basically?
Yes, but this is not even my topic. But yes, that's exactly right. That's how I would get into the Olympics.
I love that movie, by the way.
It's a good movie, and it's a great story. It's a great story.
It's no Drive My Car, I can tell you that. But
no.
It should have been nominated for an Oscar.
And I will tell you this about ski jumping: incredibly stupid. Nobody ever falls. Number one. So what's the point? And all you're doing is seeing people go down the ramp, up in the air, and it looks like they all land in the same spot.
Yeah. It's not a very good spectator sport.
It's stupid to watch.
But
I don't get it.
In person, you think?
No, I think it would be neat.
Everyone's really cold. Actually, I would not.
In person, it would be neat to see it a couple times. You'd be like, "Whoa, these guys are getting serious air. It's amazing."
Eagles game in the cold. I never understood that either. Why you go to games when it's cold outside?
All right, we can talk about that later. Yeah. Let me get to my theory here. Let me get to my
Packers games. Screw that.
Hey. So I know I hit pay dirt here when I ran this.
Devontae Adams. Sorry.
Hate you.
I ran this theory past my wife, and she thought I was crazy. She took the other side of this. So now I need to figure out whether I'm crazy or she's crazy, and I need to hear it from you two. So here's my thought: the Olympics. If I was in the Olympics, and just pick any event, it doesn't matter. Let's call it downhill skiing. Okay. Let's call it downhill skiing because we'll go with the winter, which just wrapped up. I would rather place last in downhill skiing than fourth. And I'm going to tell you why. I think it might be obvious. But if I placed fourth, think about the prep work that goes into getting to the Olympics. You are up every morning early. You're in the weight room. You're running. You're on the hill. You're on the slopes for this made up competition, and you're doing set after set after set after set, and just trying to get faster and faster and faster and faster. And it's just grueling, dedicated work to get to that one spot where you have 20, 30, 40 seconds, whatever the hell it is on the hill. And that's it. You do all that work for that one moment, right? And if I finish fourth, especially in an event like that, I may have missed it by half a second, the podium, or a quarter of the second. And the thought would just kill me. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night thinking, if I had just spent one more practice session, or if I just lifted one more weight, maybe I would have gotten a bronze. Versus if I finished last, well, I never would have gotten to the podium anyway. And now my story is, hey, I was in the Olympics. I skied the Olympics. And that's my whole story. And it's amazing. And they're like, wow, you were an Olympic skier. Boom, end of story. Versus I finished fourth and I came away with nothing. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that? Fourth versus last. Let me hear.
So can I let me interject and give you sort of perspective. I talked about this a lot with the Packers.
Please.
There are two types of people. There is journey people and there are destination people. So if you are a journey person, then you know, let's say like my Packers go 13-4 and then lose terribly at the end, don't win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
To me, it was a loss, terrible season. I hated, you know, it was 2021 was a bad season if I have to think back.
Okay.
But my friend will say, what are you talking about? There were 13 wins. Remember when they beat so-and-so and all this? And it was awesome. I remember Monday morning reading in the paper, we beat the Vikings, beat the Bears, you know, all this stuff was all great. So like the journey was great, even though it didn't end well. And I was like, yeah, but we ended so poorly. So we've decided that I'm a destination person, no question. It is, if I'm not first, you're last. Kind of. And it's where my friend is a journey person. So in this case, I think if you're a destination person, fourth place would be absolutely the worst. It would just because your destination was so close to actually bringing home a medal, where if you're a journey, all journeys were the same. It didn't end up with a medal, but you got to train, you realized your dream, you were in the Olympics, you got to go and live in the village, and like you have all that experience. It didn't matter whether you're fourth, fifth, or last.
But I think you kind of just made my point even for both, because here's the difference though. The difference of the journey with a football team is there's games that count and you're in competition every single time. What I'm talking about is just training. There's no competition with training. I'm sure you do some warm-up events and things like that, and you're in competition worlds or whatever the hell outside of the Olympics. I'm speaking out of school here, but I'm talking about just no one sees any of that stuff. You see the entire journey with the Packers or your football team, and you experience ups and downs with it. When you're a skier, there is the journey's entirely just you, and then the destination, you know, that's it. All that work is on this one moment. And if you just miss the podium by that little much, I don't know how you can live with yourself.
What do you think, Omar?
You'd be thinking about it over and over and over again. What do you think, Omar? Fourth versus last. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm playing the scenarios, but I like to barely pass things because that way I'm optimizing my time versus.
Yeah, so you're a D- versus an A- here.
Yeah.
There's
I like
a lot
that.
to that. Like the Series 7, if you got anything more than a 71.1 or 70.1, then you've wasted time, right?
Yeah.
Except the fact that
but I think, however, I think that if you're at the Olympic level, that's probably not your mentality. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to get to that elite form of competition.
But you're still elite if you're last. You're still elite. You're still one of the best skiers in the world.
If I made the Olympics, yeah, I wouldn't mind. Well, yeah, I would be last, but I'd tell. I'm not sure what would upset. You know what? I think Josh is right.
Thank you.
If I missed bronze by whatever seconds, yeah, that actually I agree with Josh. But it would bother me.
And you just made my point, Omar. You said think about the mentality of these people, of these athletes.
Yeah.
That would eat them up alive. There's no way they would be able to let that go because of their mentality and how and how they think about these competitions.
Yeah.
But if you're last place,
I
you
mean,
can't
like,
be beating yourself up.
Like,
I mean,
like one of my life mottos I always say is never let perfect get in the way of good. That's like when I work out for like 18 minutes and I'm done.
there you go.
But I do it every day. And like, it's I'm like that with many things in my life. I don't need to be a perfectionist with anything, including, by the way, this podcast.
When you put on your bracelets, that's 18 minutes.
Are you sure your motto isn't "Don't let perfect get in the way of sort of trying"? 18 minutes.
Well said.
But it's better to do it every day than have a perfect workout like twice a week.
That's it might be the smartest thing you said in this podcast. I actually think
that that's.
But can I interject something else on this?
Please.
Omar triggered with me. I read a book that talked about, they did a survey of the bottom quartile of students at Harvard. And so they had a super high, very high, higher than normal depression rates, suicide rates, alcoholism, like all the things, because they were in the fourth quartile of the universe that they identified with. So they and even though they're the top, 1% of all the kids in the United States, like they're amazing, but when they live in a bubble of Harvard and they're always the worst, always, falling into the getting C's or below, they can't handle it. So the thing about fourth place is you are in the upper, decile of the Olympic Village you're in. You're like up there. You're walking out with your head held high, at least. Where if you're last, you're like, dude, or ma'am, you didn't deserve to be here, maybe. So I don't. That could be a.
Yeah, but do you know what they call the guy who graduated last in his medical class?
Yeah.
They call him doctor.
Doctor. That's the 70.1% pass rate of the Series 7 or
correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. They call him doctor.
It's a pass-fail situation.
You'd be right if that translated to, hey, these were the top 25% Olympians. These were the next quartile. It's not the way it is. 3 people get it. 3 people get something that memorializes their success in that Olympics. That's
true.
it.
That might be different.
But
you don't see people on a resume. I guess they could have their GPA or something, but usually you're a graduate of Harvard, whether you're in the top or bottom quartile, right?
That's my point. But if you graduate top of your class, whole different story.
By the way, I will say this. Bringing up Harvard is just preposterous, but I understand why you did it. I've met dozens of people from Harvard. Apparently, everybody I've met was in the bottom quartile. Because they're all idiots. So
they could be. Look, I have friends like this. Who are incredibly book smart, but their common sense is lacking tremendously.
Yeah, I don't think graduating from Harvard has had a direct correlation to who I think has been a successful. And it's not just Harvard; it could be any of the Ivy Leagues. Yeah. I'm not necessarily saying like whoa.
Yeah, like Randolph Macon, for example. That's where I went to college.
Right, that's right, Randolph Macon.
What? Bastion of knowledge.
That's where Omar went. Omar was so happy with his picked on, bullied life in his hometown, where he was the only non-white kid, that he decided to go to a school with all white kids.
That town was very close, by the way, to like that town in Footloose. Pretty close.
Listen, I went to college at Footloose.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, Dave went to Footloose. Dave literally went to the college.
You signed a pledge where you couldn't dance
at
my college.
No dancing.
That's another
topic.
Another
podcast.
It's going to go way
another
into
podcast. Another podcast.
I guess I don't know. I am a destination person, so I agree with you, Josh. I don't know if it's true for everyone.
It might not be, but I just thought it made sense to me. I'm like, it could, just knowing the mentality of these competitors. I mean, I would just eat them alive to be that close to a medal and not get it. Just eat them alive. And I'm not even thinking like, for obviously logically, you're like, oh, I want to be as high up as I can get. I want to place as high as I can get. But I'm thinking more mentally post.
Yeah.
And the story, like you couldn't live with yourself. You'd be constantly, like that movie Ace Ventura, laces out, out. Or how many times Scott Norwood thinks about the kick he missed in the Super Bowl? I was
gonna say Jim Kelly. Do you think Jim Kelly for the Bills, like every day wakes up going like, oh, and it just throws?
Yes, that's my point. That's exactly my point.
Yeah, Jim Kelly is the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, which I think is fascinating. Went to the Super Bowl four times in a row and lost 4 in a row. It's just a fascinating question. Is it better to have that than not make it at all. My friend
No,
would say
that's different.
I really think that's different.
Yeah,
I
because
would
he was AFC champions. He got something. The AFC champions. He was the AFC champions for those 4 years, and he was in the big dance. He was there. He experienced it. Very different. Very different.
I'm surprised that you're taking both sides of that.
Yeah, well, because I think they're two different things. I think there's a little nuance there that sets them apart.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, are you ready for our first
First email. I love
question?
I love it.
I think this is in relation to my topic last week about flying and irrational fears. This person, her name is Dawn, asked about irrational confidence. Like, can there be such a thing as having irrational confidence? I don't know why she asked us this question. Because
I have an idea.
I wish you had to said the
I don't know
name.
why we would be considered experts in such a topic, but do you think that there is such a thing as an irrational confidence on the other side of an irrational fear?
Yes.
Of course.
And
yes.
Do you think we all suffer from it?
Not all of us.
Is that called audacity? Is that the same thing as irrational confidence?
Did you say audacity?
Audacity.
Audacity.
Audacity. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nonplussed.
It's nonplussed.
Nonplussed.
But now, is irrational confidence a bad thing?
No.
It depends. It depends. Irrational confidence can get you into trouble.
What did Omar? Omar just said no, just flat. I want to hear his answer.
Well, I think that belief in yourself and is obviously underlying a lot of being irrationally confident, even when there are moments where you have no business trying to do something. You have the ability, the confidence in yourself, or belief in yourself that you can do it, which is completely irrational. I think if you ask most entrepreneurs that question, they would say yes, it is a good thing, and almost all of them have it.
But there's a difference. Irrational. Okay. So there's a belief in yourself that you can get something accomplished, but there's also has to be a reality that you know your limitations. It's like I can be confident as hell that I could get in the ring with Mike Tyson, but there's a reality that says I'm gonna be put into a coma because I don't have those actual skills or strength to beat Mike Tyson. So
yeah,
but confidence ain't gonna get me there.
It can be paired with occasional or paired with judgment, right? Those things can coexist.
But that's the difference between rational and irrational.
Rational confidence. But let's just say define irrational. So you are confident even though you don't feel it or you have no reason to believe that. Now going into the ring with Mike Tyson.
That's irrational confidence.
That would be very rational.
How about Ralph Macchio fighting Johnny in Karate Kid?
Ralph Macchio. What do you
the audacity of getting that name wrong.
Give me a Macchio, please, with whole milk.
Macchio.
Let's say you had to do a public speaking, and you are nervous.
Yeah.
And you've never done it before, and you talk yourself into a confidence.
That's not irrational.
You don't think that's the same thing?
No. Irrational to me, irrational confidence means you are confident above your means by which to accomplish the task that you're trying to accomplish. It's irrational. To have confidence on something that you can actually achieve is awesome. That's great.
I think for entrepreneurs, literally, you have to have that.
Anyone can publicly speak. Anyone can. It's getting the confidence to get yourself up there to do it.
I don't think I can do it, by the way.
Yes, you can.
I don't know.
What are you talking about? You've done it.
I've done it on Zoom calls.
Yeah, but it's still publicly
different
speaking.
Than going up on a stage and talking.
Yes, it is. It is. But you can get yourself there.
With drugs. Yeah.
I can't mentally get myself to a state where I can beat up Mike Tyson. I can mentally get myself to a state where I can talk to 1,000 people in a microphone.
And you think that there is a different irrational? Although I think the idea of an entrepreneur.
Some people are more afraid of talking in front of 1,000 people than getting in a ring with Mike Tyson, by the way. Those people do exist.
That's right. And Jerry Seinfeld said that. The number one fear is public speaking. Number two is death. So people would rather be in the casket than doing the eulogy.
That's true.
Yes.
But I think, the entrepreneur like Steve Jobs, I think that
who I get compared to very often. So it's interesting that you brought him up.
You're basically the same person. But his irrational became rational. Like I guess that you got to have your geniuses and your outliers might be people that
You create
have
your
that.
own reality to some extent. That does it. And when you fail, you pick yourself back up again, and you're irrationally confident about something else. In order to have great return in life, you have to take great risk. That's
Wow.
those two things are very intertwined.
With
that's
great
often-
power comes great responsibility.
Yes, that too. And great risk, it takes sometimes irrational confidence.
Except for Aquaman.
That was Spider-Man.
No, I know, but except for Aquaman. There's
No,
really not.
yeah.
I mean, what the hell's happening under the water?
You're
there's
obsessed with Aquaman.
It seems like it's a ridiculous.
By the way, guys, can we talk about
superhero.
something that has, I think, been hanging over this podcast
Ooh.
since these global events have continued to evolve the way they have? Are we all believers that we should be energy independent, this country?
Yeah, but this is a hilarious topic you're bringing up.
Just a quick
That our
answer.
listeners would love.
Yes or no?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. If
I don't care about the grouse in the mountains of South Dakota. If it can help the country be energy independent.
Wait. Let's not get into this topic.
Oh, okay, all right.
Now, there's a difference between energy independent with pumping our own oil and energy independent with
the grouse,
with clean energy.
Were you doing a Drill Baby Drill advertisement there?
Yeah, he was.
Why was that?
I
didn't see
think
that coming.
Idealism sometimes doesn't necessarily mesh with the reality of the world.
Are you trying? First of all,
I think Josh is irrationally confident about clean energy. There you go. Bam.
I'm not gonna get into this topic. But if you're
that's
trying
why I
to
tied it in, Dave.
If you're trying to get BP to sponsor our podcast, then more power to you.
Yeah, right. Is that what's happening?
Yeah. I would gladly accept them as a sponsor.
Well, no, actually, that was a good head fake because someone in Moscow was listening. They were like, now they don't know what to think of
That's
what
right.
just happened.
You have to keep them on their toes so they stay listening.
That's right. They talked about energy independence.
Oh,
what was
boy.
the answer? Not unclear.
Way to bring it down, Omar. This is supposed to be a light podcast.
I tied it back into being irrationally confident. I knew I knew you would hitch onto the clean energy thing.
Yeah, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap it up for this week's episode. We'll continue to hopefully get new listeners and maybe some more emailers. Again, our email address is friends@fts.media. The strangest email I've ever heard, but that is our email.
That's it. It works.
But it works, yes. We although the only emails we seem to be getting are from our podcast hoster.
That's not true. We're getting a ton of spam in our spam folder. I mean, we're blowing up with spam.
Oh, they have to search that folder.
Yeah, I mean the amount of erectile defections.
Defections?
Defections. I couldn't get the word out.
Isn't that called just cheating?
Erectile defections are real. They're very real. It's about time someone started talking about them.
Once they hear about my video game comment.
That's the way you have to say cheating now because cheating triggers people. So
is that what it is? Is that the new woke thing to say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll wrap things up. On behalf of Omar and Josh, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week. See you later, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.